hours projecting a hologram of myself all the way to E3. Watch out, gaming industry! A criminal deviant with a messiah complex in the body of an 800-pound gorilla wants to play games with apes in them! And he's doing it as a ghost!
And we're here! E3 2018. Microsoft. Xbox. Hashtag Xbox. E3. Mitchell.
Hey, hashtag Xbox, hashtag E3, hashtag Marilyn Monroe. It's all here. We're all together.
Marilyn Monroe, like we dug her up. We're Weekend at Bernie, Marilyn Monroe.
Should I explain?
Well, context, because we've had some running jokes for the last day, but these people, these nice people, and presumably some other forms of mammals, they're listening. They want to know what's going on in the lives of one Mitchell Wolfe and Hyle Russell since they last heard from us.
Yeah, that makes sense. That would be a sensible thing to want to know the answer to. Our apartment, basically the room we're renting out for the duration of E3, has a bunch of Marilyn Monroe decorations on the walls and around. It's very nice. I like that she's here. It's giving me a really positive outlook on E3 as a whole, and
because she had such a positive outlook before she died.
Yeah, she she loved life. No one can say otherwise.
Yeah, so we are live streaming this right now. Again, we'd like to apologize if you cannot hear us because the Wi-Fi in this place is so piss poor. I call it the curse of Marilyn Monroe. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like when you drink tainted water when you go south of the border. It's Montezuma's revenge.
Well, if there's anything that Marilyn Monroe is good at, it's confidence and really bringing your A game. If there's something she's bad at, just because of her whole life existing between the 30s and 60s, it's definitely technology. She will not help us with the internet whatsoever.
I bet she never once streamed a Donkey Kong and Rare related podcast. It was just above her head because she wasn't around.
This seems like shitting on her unnecessarily.
Yeah, it really is.
I think you might be right.
It really is.
I don't think she did.
And I mean, to be fair, it's hard to stream when you are a candle in the wind, just because the flames would lick the microphone and probably melt some essential component eventually.
Is that song about her?
The first go-around was. He redid it for Princess Diana after she died.
Yeah, that's my association with it.
And I hear he's going to redo it for Anthony Bourdain in a few days.
Delicious.
I would like that, yeah.
I think just everyone that dies from now on should get a special
Elton
custom
John song.
Yeah.
I believe Mad TV did a sketch about that, where Elton John would come to your funeral and just rewrite one of his old songs. It's one of those few memorable Mad TV sketches. But hello, hi. You're not here to talk about Will Sasso. No, you're here about Phil Spencer. So I don't know why I said their names as if they rhymed or anything. So we're here. We're exhausted. Yeah. So Mitchell, let's explain to the people, and the other animals, some farm animals, I'm guessing, what has been going on. Because we predicted that my plane would crash. And then the last episode we did together would have been the last episode of the Kongversation until Cameron or Matt or somebody revived it. I'm here. I'm still here. So we are.
Now, I would love to hear Cameron and Matt's revived Kongversation. That would be a great show.
It would be better than this shit we're doing. Possibly. I can tell you that much.
So I started yesterday. Are we just going from the beginning? I picked you up at LAX. Your plane didn't crash.
My plane didn't crash. It did taxi for quite almost an hour, which was really annoying. We got there 30 minutes early, and I was like, wow, we're really ahead of things. And then we ended up being on the tarmac for 30 extra minutes. So, hey, airplanes, man, what are you going to do? Airports.
Wouldn't it be so disappointing if you got in a plane crash, but like in the way a car gets in a crash, just from the ground, not even airborne?
Yeah. That would be a really piss poor way to go.
Yeah, 'cause I think dying in a plane crash might be like one of the more fun ways to go. But if it's just like on the ground, boring.
By the way, I apologize. We are sitting on bar stools right now.
Yeah,
Not
they're
that
making a lot of squeaks.
You say that, now it stopped doing it.
Yeah, all of the sounds in the apartment kind of stopped at once.
Marilyn is with us in spirit. I can feel it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're sitting on bar stools. We are not at a pub. We are at our Airbnb. So we are in Koreatown, as we've been promoting for some reason, and
everyone should come. Everyone should come to Koreatown. It's a great place. There's a Target now.
There is a Target in Koreatown. It's a big deal. They had a sign, Koreatown now with Target.
It's a big deal. It's a small Target.
It is a small Target, hard to shoot, which is a good thing in America these days. Harder you are to shoot, the better off you are. We went to the Target tonight because I needed. Let's be adults. We can be open about this. We needed more toilet paper.
Yeah.
They only provided us one roll in our Airbnb, and they had a little note on there. You know, your first roll of toilet paper is provided by, and then there's a name on there I can't make out. I think it's like a plaque for somebody who died in this Airbnb, just in their memory. Park bench is sometimes dedicated to somebody who was a benefactor to that park.
Yeah, because we got back from the Microsoft conference today, and we loved it, but it did make us just poop so hard. So we needed to get a little bit of a re-up on that one.
I've barely pooped since I've been here, but I was thinking of poops to come. And one roll of toilet paper is not going to cut it, because just the danger of trying to hold your poops would mean that you're going to just poop even more. So to stave off excessive pooping and to hopefully just get the whole bowel situation under control, we had to buy more toilet paper. Therefore, we went to Target.
So this is the Microsoft episode of the Kongversation.
It is. But I have some more things to discuss about toilet paper and our Airbnb. Do you want to discuss the issues? I know you went into it in the Super Jump podcast you did last night, Mitchell, but we had some issues getting into our Airbnb. And it's not, now that enough time has passed, I really don't care to rehash it all that much, but...
No, I get it, yeah. It's... The trouble with this is that there's no good way to explain it in a way that accurately portrays how frustrating it was. Because you can just say, hey, we couldn't get in, but then we did. And like, ugh.
What a story.
Yeah, what a story. The idea was we had an Airbnb, we do have it, reserved from yesterday, which was Saturday at the time of recording, until Thursday, the last day of E3, proper. That was fine. It worked out, and the room is great. Actually, the location is very close to the convention hall. That was all great. But when we got here, we couldn't get in the building. We had an entrance code to put into a lockbox, to get keys, to open the door, to go inside the building, to eventually find our room, which is hard because it's a big building with a bunch of rooms in it, which again need a different set of keys to open that. We couldn't even open the lockbox at the very beginning of that LucasArts puzzle sequence. I think we worked on it for like a straight hour before figuring out how to open one of many lockboxes. There was no indication which one was ours, except for the fact that eventually one of them worked.
But the thing is, it was broken, so it wasn't actually working. I put in the code, and the only reason we'd be like safe crackers. We had to basically listen for the little mechanisms going into place, and then it wouldn't open. I had to jimmy it open at that point.
Yeah, and
got the key. At that point, you were already trapped in the parking lot. We can't even park in.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah. So then you were trapped. So I went into the building. Quickly discovered it's a lot like a hotel inside the building, in that there are multiple apartments in here.
Yeah. The only reason we found out which of our rooms was ours, and that took another maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Was we found a very small carving on the keys we already had from the lockbox that we barely managed to open, of a 3-digit number that turned out to be our room number. you'd think your room number would be included, in the Airbnb information, or at least information that your Airbnb supplier could give to you if you were to ask them. But our very friendly Airbnb supplier would not answer the phone. In fact, she has not responded to us yet. It's been over a day.
No, she actually responded to my wife.
Oh, okay.
And then my wife relayed the info to me, and I relayed the info to you.
Just now.
And you just relayed the info to the people listening to this, and the farm animals. So...
Yeah.
It was... I know escape rooms are, like, all the rage right now, but this is kind of a reverse escape room. You're trying to get into the room, and... I don't know. Oh, Gesundheit. And there's black mold in here, so he's a little allergic.
Yeah.
No, it's actually a really nice place once you actually can figure out how to get into it. And we still don't know what half of our keys do, though. Mm-hmm. The half that... We have 4 keys.
I have a theory that they're just for a different room. So we just have 2.
We have 2 Airbnbs.
We might have the room across the hall. I mean, maybe. I don't know.
That's ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
We only paid for 1.
Uh-huh.
Why aren't we using 2 then? We could basically not like...
Well, because I looked at the key and it looked like it had a different number than our room carved into it at one point, and then our room number superimposed onto that carving. So the number that it originally pointed to might work with this key, but I heard talking from inside that room.
Okay.
So I assume we don't have it.
My theory is this is the room that JFK had his tryst with Marilyn in, and he kept Jackie O in the other one. That's why there's 2.
For some reason, it's in Koreatown, Los Angeles. Makes sense. I get it.
Right. Sometimes you want to eat a little Korean. I don't know where I'm going with that. So...
Sounded like the beginning of a beautiful metaphor.
Yeah, or a beautiful limerick. So, Microsoft... Mitchell, we both attended the briefing.
Yes, we did.
Although, come to find out when we got there, we had 2 different invitations. You had the media invitation.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
And even though I am attending E3 as media, I had the, special Microsoft guest invitation due to my role as a fake paid actor.
Right, guest. Okay. That makes more sense. I was thinking general, but that wasn't quite what that was.
No.
It makes sense because the way that you get into all of the press conferences for E3, the thing that you at home think of as E3,
right? But when you're
actually not E3.
Yeah, when you're actually here, those are just the appetizer for E3. It's the foreplay.
Those are all independently put on shows by each of those companies. So despite the fact that we're both registered as media for E3, we weren't both registered as media for Xbox.
It's the linguses before the full-on penetration that is E3.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know where you're going with that.
I think I'm pretty clear where I went with that.
Okay.
So...
just because it goes first?
It's something you do to get you warmed up for the full-on...
I see.
The full-on.
Yeah.
Mitchell, the full-on. So...
it's crystal clear now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was dumb for not getting it.
So... yeah, we... The problem with the Microsoft event, and I say problem loosely, because overall I think we both very much enjoyed this briefing.
Yeah.
So don't consider these legitimate complaints. Phil, I know you're listening, obviously. Please, we loved it. But the thing is that each year they shift this briefing now. It's like a hermit crab trying on a new shell.
I think they found the spot they should stay.
Well, they need to work on some aspects of it. So...
Yes, okay. I know what you're going to say. It was They had everyone line up outside.
It was at the Microsoft Theater.
It was, yes, right. It was at the Microsoft
Theater, which is really close to the LA Convention Center. It's part of LA Live, which is the fake Times Square of Los Angeles.
Yeah, LA Live has the Staples Center, the Convention Center, both halls of it, and the Microsoft Theater and a number of other little restaurants and presentation booths. All in one block with a fake street running through it. We were actually talking earlier today. I don't know if that street gets regular traffic or if it ever would need to get regular traffic.
I've never seen it get traffic in the entire time I've walked it.
It's like a Disneyland main street. It's not for actual cars. It's a lot less fun than Disneyland Main Street because they have you stand outside in a line waiting for you after you've registered for your pass for the show. So they know you're going into the show. They know you will be there. They have you stand outside for an hour in the hottest heat
just the hottest
that Los Angeles could possibly produce. I think the heat itself may not have been the biggest issue. It was just like the sun directionally is straight down on you.
It's midday.
It's midday. It is midday. It was leading up to about 12 or 11:45 where they finally let us in. There was no possibility of shade. Everything, all the shadows were straight down the sides of walls. It was awful. It was actually awful.
Yeah, so Los Angeles, it's pretty arid. It is a beach town, so you usually have a breeze.
Yeah.
The humidity is usually not bad or not present at all in LA. Today was different. Today was very much like we were in a swamp. It reminded me of Washington, D.C. in just how miserable it felt. Like Washington, D.C. in August. That's what it felt like.
Right.
For my East Coast experience. So... all that being said, though, it was at the Microsoft Theater, which I now regret seeing that last year and saying, why didn't they just hold the Microsoft event at the Microsoft Theater? That makes sense. That makes too much sense. They did it. They called my bluff. And they, luckily, my sunburn, I didn't get sunburned terribly. I have a little bit on my neck, and I have a feeling it will mostly be gone by tomorrow. It's not a deep sunburn. It's more just a light kissing, and it'll be tan before probably midday tomorrow.
I wore a long sleeve shirt, which was a double-edged sword. It was super sweaty. Well, before we left, we were talking about, hey, I want to be clean. I want to be like dressed well to a certain extent.
We didn't want to be the stereotypical gaming nerd,
right?
Drenched in their own body odor and Cheeto dust, having not chiseled any of that off for weeks, if not months.
So we were like put together. We looked professional. We were proud of ourselves. And, I think that was hubris. I think LA saw that we felt that proud of ourselves, and they're like, we got to knock these two down a peg. We got to show them who they really are. And the LA Sun made us gross. It made us incredibly gross. Made us very, very, very gross to look at. Or even just to smell or touch or be near. So that was good. But it was a fun unifying factor because you could tell. I was looking around. I was with all of the other reporters. They were just all also melting. They were just melting into their own pants.
You were with the reporters. I was with the guests, and that included the guy who runs the Xbox subreddit.
Right.
And actually, he's Finnish, and I'm terrible with names, as you're about to find out when we talk about all the games that aren't DKU or Rare related. But so I apologize. I'll remember his name when we're done. But he's Finnish, very nice guy. Struck up a great conversation. I was with him. I was with a couple guys from Rare, including Mike Chapman. I don't know why they were making them stand in line, but they were in line too. I think Craig Duncan and Joe Neat got in like as VIPs like right away, and Mike and some of the others had just like waited outside. But
Chapman is a real trooper for standing in that sun the whole time.
Yeah.
With everyone else. He's the real rare boots on the ground guy, I guess.
Well, we were all huddled. We actually had some sort of Xbox, like, banner, standee, some sort of, like, thing that actually provided a very, very small sliver of shade. So we were all huddled, underneath or against that for as long as we could.
Oh, you got shade.
Well, until noon hit, and then the shadow kept shrinking, and it felt like there's an old episode of the Adam West Batman series where Mr. Freeze, as portrayed, I think, by the first actor who portrayed him,
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, obviously. He had a room, and Mr. Freeze, being Mr. Freeze, he cannot step outside of the refrigerated air. So he had a room that had, like, refrigerated air pockets, and then when his henchman came in, he had to flip a switch, and then it would heat a segment of the floor, and then the henchman could come in. And it was very much like a video game kind of puzzle. Anyway, so at one point, Batman and Robin, they made the whole room heated except for a small little square for Mr. Freeze that was still refrigerated. Therefore, he could not move anywhere, and they were able to arrest him or have Commissioner Gordon arrest him. But what I'm saying is this was the reverse of that, and we were anti Mr. Freezes. We were
Mr. Heat
Mr.
Meister. I'm Mr. Heatmeister. I'm Mr. It's not snow.
Actually, no, we weren't reverse Mr. Freezes. We were just mild Mr. Freezes in that we had to stay in the shade. We didn't need to be frozen. We just needed to be cool.
Yeah.
And Batman controlling the sun wasn't having it. So that's an analogy. So
it's a great analogy. Huh?
Yeah. So we got so you got in like 15 minutes before I did.
I did.
They let the reporters in because they realized, oh shit, we've been cooking the reporters. We're gonna get terrible press for this. Let them in. Fuck our guests. They're all sycophants anyway. They can wait.
I wish I had like any. It just doesn't fit my brand at all to report on the heat outside of a press conference.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a way of doing that without coming off as really petty, so I'm using now.
Well, you could start a new podcast just to air your grievances, the Super Dump podcast.
Oh, I might. Do you want to get into it? We've been kind of just talking about LA a little bit.
It's the lingus before the full on. So
okay.
No, you got in 15 minutes, then I got in. They finally let us in, and we actually ended up sitting together anyway. So
yeah,
all that division, unnecessary. The walls came tumbling down. We were reunited as one, and we were in the usual display of green and whites, but mostly green.
Yeah.
And
a very nice lady danced on me for about a minute or two.
I saw that, and I thought, I didn't want to say anything because I've blown up your E3 mating dances before, and I didn't want to.
Yeah,
I didn't want to intrude. So I was like, you know what? I'll let Mitchell have this. I feel like a third wheel just sitting here, but I will stream this if need be. So
it was just such a typical like gamer thing of me. I was sitting there literally playing Mario Kart on my Switch, and like there was just this girl next to me who very much enjoyed the song that was playing. I guess that was the catalyst that started.
Or she ironically enjoying it.
Or she ironically enjoyed it, or just wanted to dance, or
because I think in the inner circle at that point, Matt Cornell also said he enjoyed the song.
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't tell if Matt was being serious or not. But
yeah, that might have been the same song. So she's just dancing like pretty much in my face while she's standing up and I'm sitting down. So I'm definitely like at butt level, but I'm very focused on Mario Kart. You
have to be.
I'm a focused Mario Kart boy. I'm a gamer boy, and I'm not going to be distracted by those buns. But eventually,
well, not without consent. I mean, it's 2018.
Yeah. Eventually, the show did start.
The show did start, and maybe we should talk about it instead of talking about everything else we've been talking about. So, the show started, and this being the Kongversation, let's just jump ahead to what we need to talk about, and then we'll get to the other stuff. but I feel like we've got a lead with Sea of Thieves. The fourth E3 for Sea of Thieves, but the first E3 post-release. So, a little bit different context this time around. And it was all to promote the new... in Mitchell's notes, he just wrote Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
And no other details, which is fine. So, Sea of Thieves... 2 big content updates. They announced these summer content updates.
Right.
Hungering Deep was the one that was going to kick it off. It did that after Memorial Day / Remembrance Day weekend. And it actually will end, I think, Tuesday or Monday. Tomorrow might be the last day. Monday's the last day. Maybe.
Yeah, the 12th is the last day. Is that Monday?
It'll be Tuesday.
That'll be Tuesday. Tuesday is the last day.
So the Hungering Deep. We talked about Hungering Deep on the Kongversation. Cameron and I played it with David Lynch, Shane, and turned out Scraps. It was a whole thing, and it was, in my opinion, utterly delightful. It breathed all sorts of new life into the game and recontextualized how you played it and how you could interact with others. It forced new experiences without making it feel forced. I really did just love the hell out of the Hungering Deep. One of the best experiences I've ever had playing a game. So now we saw we got taste, we got teasers, previews, and context for what Cursed Sails and Forsaken Shores mean.
Yeah, if we play our cards right, we can usually get a few words with Rare employees during the show floor days of E3. And I really want to talk to them about the construction of these trailers. I want to know if they're done in-house or with a third party, or like how that's done, because they're very professional trailers. This one in particular was a little bit different. It felt very much like it was like the Merrick trailer for Hungering Deep, but as compared to their other E3 trailers, this one was very much. It seems story based. Like you would assume that the game
it told a
this
story,
is for is like a RPG or something.
It had 2 characters speaking. It had one of the Order of Souls oracles, and it had a pirate coming to give this artifact, this crystal ball. Then she saw all sorts, like what was about to unfold in the Sea of Thieves.
Well, and half a banana, a broken watch, and a crab.
And that crab also appeared in the Hungering Deep trailer.
Yeah, I assume that the crab is going to appear in all of the trailers for additional content.
Already, DK Viners are calling it Happy Crab.
Happy Crab?
Based on the Donkey Kong Land background character, Happy Crab. So
I love it.
But yeah, this was through the crystal ball. We saw context for what both events were going to be, and then later on, immediately afterwards, while we were being crushed by the throngs of people trying to get out, they actually released the information online, so those at home were better informed than we were.
Right.
Which is always the case with E3, of course. But so
I don't have the notes in front of me, but do you want to just talk about what each of those things are, starting with Cursed Sails?
Yeah. So actually, the focus was on Forsaken Shores, but Cursed Sails had elements in there. So
right, I don't know. I think they might have been split equally. What was weird is that Forsaken Shores was seen first in the crystal ball in the trailer, and that actually comes second.
I think that's the most enticing draw between the two,
right? Just
because based on what it opens up in the game. But Cursed Sails will be the next event sometime in July, and it will be essentially about all of these ancient skelly, not ancient, but skelly crews rising up from the depths of the ocean. These skelly crews are different than the ones you normally fight in game, in that they still have ships.
Yeah, they have their own skeleton ships. Like the Hungering Deep, this update is focused on an AI threat, being these skeletons, where the Hungering Deep's AI threat. And I like the description of that AI threat. It's much better than just saying, there's a new enemy. Yeah. Hungering Deep obviously had Megan the Megalodon.
The Hungering one, as it's properly known in game. But the difference between the Hungering Deep and this, at least from what I'm understanding, is the Hungering Deep, you had to seek it out. You had to...
Oh, no, there's a campaign with this.
Yeah, I know. But at the very, So you have to conjure them, or like how's it going to work?
Maybe it's just something like they're around and someone wants you to beat them or beat them in a certain way.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying there's not a campaign involved with this. I'm just saying they seem more proactive than the Hungering one seemed, where
Right.
you actually had to go out of your way.
Where the Hungering one, you need to like forcefully put yourself in an animal's territory and then kill it.
Yeah, this one it seems like you were the one who is being hunted.
Kill it because some drunk guy told you to.
Right, some drunk guy with 2 wooden legs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm being ableist here. I shouldn't be ableist towards those with 2 peg legs.
Right, he was temporarily inebriated, not drunk.
Yeah. So anyway, the cursed sails, Skelly crews still on their bone ships. They got bone ships. That's really exciting. We saw the silhouette of their ships. They look really creepy, really unsettling. And, I love the Skellies, but I think out of all of the things you can do in Sea of Thieves, hunting the Skellies with the Order of Souls has gotten the oldest, the quickest. So breathing new life into the Skellies and the world around them, I'm all for it. Let's bring it on. But this will also introduce a brand new ship to the Sea of Thieves stable, the fleet, whatever. So we already have the galleon, which is the 4 or 3 person crew,
right? And
we have the sloop, which is the 2 or 1 person crew. This one will be the brigantine.
Yeah, the brigantine. It's probably going. It says it's optimized for 3, which probably means that it can also do 2. So now there's going to be a 1 and 2, a 2 and 3, and a 3 and 4 person boat.
And I assume it means that it doesn't mean that 3 person crews can't still do the galleon.
No,
it just means that now there is an even better option, or presumably better, depending on what you want to accomplish and your gameplay style. If they're introducing this with cursed sails, I assume then they will be encouraging 3 person crews, as they encouraged you to seek out at least 5. Seek out an enemy or potentially an enemy crew and befriend them in Hungry Deep. I presume this one will be centered around 3 people crews. Then somehow the Brigandine is going to be the optimal choice to accomplish this. Yeah. I don't know.
So we were just talking about this, but like the Hungering Deep, there will be a campaign. Like the Hungering Deep, there will also likely be new. I don't think they confirmed this at all, or even alluded to it necessarily, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were new items.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. The Hungry Deep, I did not expect all of the new items, all of the new accompaniments. That actually made it so much more enjoyable for me to have the speaking trumpet, the drum. So it'll be exciting to see what else they have cooked up to further enrich the experience that is Sea of Thieves. But Forsaken Shores, that's the main event,
right.
At least in my opinion. And it's the main event because it introduces the 4th section of the island.
Right.
Yeah. Not island. The islands, the isles.
The Forsaken Shores. I was just trying to ask Hyle really stealthily how chat is going, and if anyone's in chat, we can talk to him. Oh, hey, guys.
Oh, hey. Yeah, so we got Godzilla Guy and Scraps in the chat. Sorry. Sorry about the audio quality, too. Like I said, Wi-Fi is terrible. Marilyn Monroe really has it out for us. But, yeah.
Okay. We've got a lot of interesting stuff going on in the chat right now.
Yeah, sorry. We should pay attention. I just assumed nobody could hear us, so...
Yeah, that was a good assumption. I'm surprised that there's anyone there, too.
Yeah.
Forsaken Shores, then. Forsaken Shores, presumably the Devil's Shroud is going to be pulled back in a certain part of Sea of Thieves. Don't know where it is yet.
Where do you think the Forsaken Shores will be slotted in?
The north.
Do you think it's going to be above the wilds, or to...
Kind of like above the middle of the... you can see my hands at home.
Yeah,
people.
Clearly.
Yeah, I'm holding up my hands to show the Shores of Plenty and the wilds, and how I think that the Forsaken Shores will be above the middle of both of them to the north.
That's an assumption. I assume they're going to be adjacent to the wilds because these are going to be even fouler than the wilds. So,
so like maybe you would just have them all of the different regions lined up from most pleasant to least pleasant.
Yeah, it just gets progressively worse.
In a linear...
Yeah. I don't know how it could get much worse than this, the way they portrayed it. So these are volcanic islands, and that creates quite honestly, a hellscape. If you are listening to this on YouTube or SoundCloud, or even in a live stream chat right now, you can see the accompanying image of this, where it just, it looks ghastly. It looks like you are in some sort of like Renaissance era painting of hell.
Yeah.
So, this is basically, the seas are, if not boiling, definitely heated. You've got volcanic ash, debris, rocks raining down on you, potentially burning your ship.
Yeah, you can't say that Rare doesn't listen to fan feedback, because one of the things people were talking about, like regarding the world itself of Sea of Thieves, is that there are 3 different regions, yes, but with the exception of some parts of the wilds, they're pretty samey between all 3 of them.
Yeah.
This doesn't look like any of that. This clearly is a very different beast.
The difference between like the Ancient Isles and the Shores of Plenty are very slight, and you really have to be paying attention to notice, the Ancient Isles, there was an ancient race of people who lived here. They left a bunch of temples. This might come into play later. And it did in The Hungering Deep, but, again, it's something you have to really be paying attention to. Not everybody's a lore hound like me. I get it. This one's very blunt. It's like, okay, you want different? Fuck you.
The islands are physically exploding. How's that?
We're going to blast you with hot magma. Fuck you for complaining. No, this looks terrifying, Mitchell. I have to be honest. Like, this is... Like, there's so many pleasant experiences to be had in Sea of Thieves. This looks like one of those experiences that I will only be playing this with a crew of friends who I feel like can keep me safe. And this is going to be something I will never attempt by myself.
So this brings up...
well, should we talk about the other new ship?
Yeah, for sure.
Here? So they are introducing a new boat here as well, and it is something that they've been teasing forever, for a couple years now.
It's in the box art.
Box art, promotional art, concept art. It's the rowboat. The rowboat is finally here. Yeah. And, there's been rowboats, like, on beaches, like, wrecked or capsized. So,
Gorilla Guy's just really nailing us.
Godzilla
in the chat.
Guy.
Godzilla Guy.
You're projecting on, just because he's listening to the Kongversation,
yeah,
you're presuming he's an ape fetishist when he likes big lizards.
Clearly, yeah, I was clearly in the wrong. And when you listen to this episode, when you're not either Godzilla Guy or Scrap69 and don't know what we're talking about, you're actually, don't just know that you're better off. I am a little bit afraid of these updates. Hyle.
You're afraid.
I'm a little bit afraid of these updates. I'll put my opinion out there. I think these are very cool, and I think that the campaigns associated with both of them are going to be very, very cool.
Yeah.
But just like with Megan, now that she's being cycled out of her own little event, and it seems like she'll be put in the world randomly, it looks like I'll have to deal with the pirate. Or the skeleton pirates on ships, the skeleton ships, and having to go into the Forsaken Shores for like voyages, but randomly, and I'll have to fight a megalodon randomly if it just shows up, and that is not great. That is not something I'm super interested in, because so far, whenever any of that stuff happens to you, it's just 100% bad. Like, it's just, there is no benefit to the Megalodon showing up randomly, if that's how they do it. If it's how they do the Kraken, because there's no benefit to the Kraken. You can actually kill the Kraken, and that's an achievement, but that's a one-time thing. If you kill the Kraken a second time, or get away from the Kraken, or do anything multiple times, that's just a waste of your time. Like, it's almost 100% of the time better to just sail through it and ignore it. And if my voyage takes me to the Forsaken Shores, like more than just after the campaign of Forsaken Shores, I will probably just cancel that voyage and do a different one in the Shores of Plenty because it's easier.
So what you're saying is you want a new region where like the lusty sirens live, and like you want like some sort of orgy campaign, something really pleasant.
Well, no, I don't necessarily want it to be pleasant. I think it's definitely fine that these random things that can put me in more harm's way. That's video games, man. Like there's a challenge to be had.
How many post-apocalyptic games did we see today?
So many. Yeah. But if it does that to me, I think that there should be some way to get like better rewards off of it. If I get attacked by a kraken or a megalodon or a skeleton ship in the middle of doing something else I was doing, and I succeed in that encounter, getting away from them should just be neutral. But if I beat them in a fight, I should get a reward for that. I should get a megalodon tooth that I can go sell to the Merchant Alliance, because otherwise it's just a hindrance, and I'm never excited to see it.
I understand that, and right now I'm focusing more on what the events bring to the table, because I feel like these
events, these are going to be very cool.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying about the long-term ramifications, but I'm already thinking like, okay, but what's going to be the event after this? Because after the Hungering Deep, I'm still going to be playing Sea of Thieves in its just most base form,
right?
Still trying to level up my pirate, increase the rank. But I think Sea of Thieves is going to be more about unique individual experiences that these events can bring about than the ever-changing aspects and nature of the world. But you're right. I'm not discounting that. There needs to be more positive reward if these things are sticking around. Like the Megalodon, I would be perfectly happy if it was just gone at this point after the Hungering Deep.
Oh yeah. I guess it should be clarified. When I said someone was saying nasty stuff in this chat earlier, and it was Scrap69 and Godzilla Guy, it was actually Godzilla Guy. Godzilla Guy just brought up a good point that people will think it was Scraps.
Oh yeah, we don't want that. Scraps was actually reading passages from the Bible.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, I get it, and like I like the randomized chaos of the Kraken encounter, and it is very rare that it happens. It's only happened to me, I think, 2 or 3 times in the entire time I've been playing it.
Yeah.
I imagine the Megalodon would be even more rare considering how brutal it is.
Rare, huh? It sounds like dirty or gross to say, because this is like what makes loot boxes work. This is what makes battle royales the most addictive form of gameplay that we have right now. It's Rare needs to work on it, in my humble opinion, which is probably totally uneducated. Rare needs to work on the ratio of challenge and loot reward systems. I would very much like all of these things to be in the game permanently if just I got something out of it. Like if something can randomly happen during my voyage that brings me maybe just from one island to another and then back. If it's just a 2-step process, there and back, and you put something in the middle of it, I can look at that as an opportunity rather than just a wall.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of putting the cart before the horse, I suppose, because we don't even know how exactly they're going to put the Megalodon in the game. I'm just assuming at this point.
Where did they say they were going to do that? Because
putting the Megalodon just elsewhere in the game. They've said it.
They have just they okay.
Yeah, I don't know where I
think
right
me
now,
going like completely cold, so I did not get spoiled for the Hungering Deep, has then therefore kept me uninformed about aspects of the Hungering Deep.
All aspects of the Hungering Deep except the Merrick quest itself, and maybe even parts of that, will remain in the game in some form. Now, you call the Megalodon in a very specific way. You call it up from the depths a very specific way, and the event and I don't think they've. This is the part we aren't sure about. They haven't necessarily commented on how it will be encountered later, after the event is over.
They should just save it for every Shark Week.
I was saying that's good. I was saying that it would be a good idea if they left the event in the game almost exactly how it is, where there's that one square you can go to on the map, and that can get a Megalodon encounter if you bring 5 people playing a very special song from a drunk guy, except now he's in a tavern on that island.
Sure, of course.
It's just not a quest line anymore. It's just a thing you can do if you find out you have a noob on your crew.
As a hazing.
And yeah, as a hazing
It's like
mechanism.
a snipe hunt, except the snipe actually shows up to maul you.
Yeah, you can go... They say, so what can you do in this game? And you go, play this song on your accordion and we'll go somewhere. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what it is. We'll just go somewhere.
Godzilla. It must be because we're recording this so late in comparison to what we normally do. Godzilla guy is really, really just working blue tonight.
He's getting results. We're talking about him. That's all he wants, right?
Yeah, basically. You've been saying you want a positive event. I speculated you wanted some sort of Siren Orgy DLC. He then took that to mean that if you're looking for a positive event, the Sirens would have a sexually transmitted disease that you could then contract from them, and then you would be positive.
No, it's a great show. It's a great time we're having. I love the way that Godzilla guy has worded, maybe in Mitchell's proposed Siren Orgy DLC.
Because you proposed it.
That was me.
It's in your notes right here. On your Office Depot notepad here.
Altogether, they showed off the 2 pieces of DLC really well. The Curse Sales is July, and they're skipping August, I suppose, and the Forsaken Shores is September.
Just in time for Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Cool.
So I imagine there's going to be some timing for that.
Yeah.
So as a fan of Sea of Thieves, unabashed fan of Sea of Thieves, and as someone who was completely surprised by how much he enjoyed The Hungering Deep. I am so looking forward to this. This was the highlight of the briefing for me. I mean, of course, every Rare showing is the highlight of the briefing for me, but this, I'm really excited. I also like that there's humor in the trailer. Like, I don't know how well it played. It was just the kind of Rare humor, like... eventually, they got all very melodramatic, and then they took the piss out of it because the guy just wanted to sell the fucking orb.
Yeah, the guy somehow had this. Like, it makes you reevaluate. How did he even get this?
Yeah, and why is it only worth 10?
Yeah, well, it's not. It's clearly she's pulling one over on him.
Yeah.
And on the Joe Neat blog post thing that we didn't get to see until later, he also gave a little bit more information, or at least reiterated information, on the between times, the weekly events that will happen between these larger events.
Sure.
Which start on Tuesday when the Hungering Deep ends. The first one is going to be the Skeleton Throne thing, where there's skeleton thrones.
Now we'll be able to play. We'll have enough time to play this by when we get back.
It's a week, so you get back on Friday?
Yeah.
You have 3 days.
Shit.
3 or 4.
Shit.
I'll play it with you. I'll
okay.
Yeah, I'll get online at some point and we'll do it. Yeah, so that'll be fun. I think the idea of finding a bunch of things all over the sea without necessarily a set of riddles like we had for the Merrick stuff, that could be really interesting. Although I don't know necessarily if there won't be riddles or anything like that.
Speaking of Batman. Yeah, you never know when he's going to find a riddle.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure where you're going with that.
You were just playing along so you didn't look stupid.
Yeah, that's been the whole weekend. Yeah, that's Sea of Thieves. Is there anything else you want to talk about there?
No, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to just cornering Rare people during the show and pestering them. When are we getting TT in Sea of Thieves?
Now, Sea of Thieves is not technically yet DKU.
Technically not. No.
Just like this other game.
Just like this other game, but we still should talk about it because this is a game that's been rumored since at least 2015. I remember when they were going to announce Rare Replay and Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves wasn't on anybody's radar. Everybody thought they were doing Battletoads. Everybody but Chad and I, because we were just like, they're not doing fucking Battletoads.
Well, I think it's a little disingenuous to say that it was rumored because, I mean, like, it wasn't real then. It clearly is real now.
Okay, but the rumors have been a steady.
You think maybe the rumors informed the real creation of the
There
thing?
might be. I think the rumors started because Battletoads was one of the things they were heavily promoting with Rare Replay, and some wires got crossed.
Yeah. Battletoads is early 90s, but I think it falls in with a lot of 80s properties, and Microsoft just doesn't have too many of those in their wheelhouse. So it does seem like Battletoads is the 80s property, despite 90s, for them to really get at. So it always seemed, maybe not obvious, but like a good idea for them to go back to. And they finally have.
Yes, and so this was rumored. We talked about this on the preview episode. It was rumored thanks to David Wise. David Wise accidentally blowing his horn a little too early. And
I was very hesitant to talk about this before, but let's just get into it now. His website had a little thing at the bottom saying all of the things he worked on, like Snake Pass was there, Yooka-Laylee was there, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and a little game called Battletoads 2020. 2020 with a dash between the two 20s.
Like 2020 Vision.
Not dash, slash. Yes, slash. Like 2020
like the
Vision.
Guns N' Roses guitarist.
Yes, like Slash.
Yes. Like the Ninja Turtle antagonist who is a turtle, but
I'm so tired right now.
I can come up with more slashes. like the fan fiction where two characters of the same sex go at it.
Yeah.
Slash fiction.
That's exactly it. Just like that slash. Now I think the
I'm sorry my stool is squeaking so fucking much.
The actual comparison to be made is with like 2020 hindsight. Hindsight is 2020 because it's a look back. It's a retro look.
But also, I think the release date, the general release, it's a pun that works on multiple levels.
Except that it doesn't because the release date is 2019.
Let's get into that. So the release date, they didn't show any game footage.
No.
They didn't show any character artwork. It was a tease. It was the lingus before the full on. And
you need to stop it. You need to stop it with this one joke that you keep repeating.
You hear this squeaking stool? That's what it sounded like when JFK and Marilyn Monroe were using and abusing our Airbnb in lovely Koreatown.
We did not see gameplay. We did not see anything. We actually didn't see the full title, even though we very much anticipate that it's still called 2020.
It was just listed as Battletoads, but I think...
Yeah.
I think Battletoads 2020 is a solid title. It's not there's some confusion, I think, that a lot of people thought it was just enhanced version of the original NES game. This is going to be a new game completely. No. So because they didn't show anything pertinent except the tease, and I love the teaser trailer. It was very much the attitude a Battletoads game should embrace, which was very much in your face, early 90s, Saturday morning kids action show property in the mold of that era's Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, despite not actually showing anything, it did convey a tone, which I think is very useful and good in the way that we think about it. It's all hand-drawn. And that is what the game is going to be as well. It's a hand-drawn game. A good comparison within the realm of Rare would be Jetpack Refueled.
Which I believe we talked about on the preview episode. We used that comparison. At the time, I used it because I thought a Rare team might have been working on this in-house while they were also concurrently developing Sea of Thieves. Well...
Yeah, they did. Well, it's not them.
It's not Rare. Now, when we say it's not Rare, that's also always with a caveat because
they're involved.
They're involved in that they're supervising. I think they are protective of their IPs, their babies, and they want them done right. When Team Dakota did Conker's Big Reunion, you could say whatever you want about Conker's Big Reunion, but you can't deny that they didn't nail the tone and spirit of what a Conker game should be post Bat Fur Day. And Rare had a big hand in that. They've had some hand in Killer Instinct, although not as much as you would think. I think that was one of the first ones. That was the first one, the first old Rare property that was developed by a different studio, and I think they were more hands-off with it. And or continue to be. At this point, Killer Instinct is almost not even a Rare property anymore, just except for the legacy purposes.
Yeah, it's a Microsoft property now, and that's fine because it's good. And if this is just another one of those games that just turn out to be really good despite not being developed by Rare themselves, fantastic. More power to them. I like the style of the art that they showed.
It's gorgeous.
I like that they're kind of framing it as a comic book, it seems.
Yeah.
That's good too.
They did use the same text as Banjo. The font looked very Banjo looking back on it, and I think it got a lot of people...
it's just because Banjo looks like a comic.
Or
the font. It's Comic Sans.
It's not quite Comic Sans. It's Comic Sans with a twist.
Yeah.
So I love the look of this, but I think because we didn't see anything, because this was just a teaser, we're not going to get the full-on trailer till next E3, and I think we're not going to get the game until fall 2019, ergo Battletoads 2020, like a sports title.
Yeah.
It's going to put the next year in the marketing for the pun, and let's be honest, that's pretty good in my book. I'm still pissed they never released the James Bond movie in 2007, because that was a delicious opportunity.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Daniel Craig. Because it's your fault. Pierce Brosnan would have been all over that shit. Brosnan, baby.
Hey, Dustin. I see you.
Hey, Dustin. Dustin's in the chat. So, we're, it was Delilah.
It's just DLA.
LA.
So
yeah.
The way the logo is organized, it's like
pink. It's a pink logo.
It's like a big D and then la on top of each other. So I think it's just pronounced D-la-la.
It sounds like a Marilyn Monroe movie. If we're really getting into it.
Oh, it's la-di-da, but like an anagram or whatever.
They're actually located in Essex.
Yeah, really close to Rare.
So it's a British team, and they actually founded in 2012. Quickly came under the thumb of Microsoft, as Microsoft is just slowly buying up everybody.
Watch out, D-la-la. You might get bought.
But so Rare, they're gonna be essentially right down the road from Rare, in the broader sense. So Rare's gonna have some oversight. They're gonna make sure it gets done right. Not taking anything away from D-la-la.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just for the Rare fans who might be concerned about this, Rare's still gonna have enough of a hand that I think it's gonna be done right. It could be DKU. We don't know. Battletoads has never been DKU, save for, if you really want to parse things. Well, they were in Rare Replay, and there's
Killer Instinct.
But Killer Instinct isn't DKU.
Yes, it is. What?
Yeah. Explain.
I thought it was made DKU.
We had this argument.
Killer Instinct 2013.
We had this argument. We still don't know if the log backpack, is actually a log or not.
We'll never know, probably.
Well, we're at E3. Why don't we just get to the bottom of it? We'll find somebody.
You think? What is it? Not Twin Galaxies. That's the record holder. Iron Galaxy.
Yeah. Well,
are they here?
Phil Spencer's here. Just find Phil Spencer.
Is that where we're at right now, or just ask Phil?
We're just gonna corner Phil Spencer. We're gonna find him.
Detective work is dead. You just ask a guy.
Detective work is very much alive. We use detective work to get into our Airbnb.
That's true. That's true.
We're a regular Sherlock and Watson. Watson and Crick.
Yeah, we're a regular Watson and Crick.
Finding that we'll find double helix, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's
those
rare.
things were both exciting.
Can we just talk real quick before we get into the other games and wrap this up?
Yeah.
There was disappointment among some factions of the Rare fan base because there was this. I'm going to be honest. It was self-generated fan hype. It wasn't coming from anywhere. That there was going to be some acknowledgement of, at the very least, some acknowledgement of Banjo-Kazooie's 20th anniversary coming up in a couple weeks.
Right.
At the biggest, boldest fantasies, there was going to be a new Banjo game announced.
Right. It's not because a 20th anniversary is necessarily something that needs to be celebrated as much as it's because a 20th anniversary is something that was, shot out ahead of time in both the XBLA version of Banjo-Tooie and Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah.
In various ways. And both times were tongue-in-cheek, and both times were much closer to the 10th anniversary than the 20th anniversary. So it's not like they could have necessarily planned anything for that, but it is a bit... I'm part of the party that does think it's a little bit disappointing.
Well, it's always disappointing we don't get a new Banjo game. I mean...
Yeah, but that's been my life for 20 years. I can handle that.
Right.
What is disappointing is just like... In Sea of Thieves, we know that there's a Banjo figurehead.
Yeah.
That, at the very least, they could put out this month. Because it's... Not only is it just this year, it's this month that E3...
It's a couple weeks from now.
Yeah, just a couple weeks down the road this month is the 20th anniversary of Banjo-Kazooie. And maybe on the actual anniversary, we'll get that figurehead in Sea of Thieves, and that's a fun thing.
Okay, here's the thing. So if this was the EA conference, I could have seen
Yeah.
them spending 10 minutes talking about Banjo-Kazooie's 20th anniversary if Banjo-Kazooie was an EA property. Microsoft actually had a lot to get through.
Microsoft had a lot to get through, and they didn't want to spend any time on anything.
No, there's some instances where I was like, I want to know more about that. Oh, but we have to get to the next world premiere.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I'm just saying, okay, this doesn't mean there's still not going to be some acknowledgement of Banjo-Kazooie's 20th anniversary. You're not going to get a new game anytime soon.
No,
But-
I hear a lot of people saying, like, you think Rare's working on this after Sea of Thieves? I'm like, no, I don't. But Rare's also not making Battletoads. Like, this could have been a different team. It could have just been a port of the XBLA games for PC, which is something I brought up with you on the last episode. It could have been a high five to a guy in a banjo costume. I just would have liked a little something. I don't know.
I know, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's a fallacy to get upset over something that, and it's something that I used to do all the time, looking back at our past E3s, always getting upset that we didn't get anything. No Donkey Kong announcement here. Fuck everything. Fuck you, Nintendo. Iwata, I'm gonna... But, it's just... It's hyping yourself up, it's setting yourself up for disappointment, and then getting disappointed. I get it, I understand it, but don't let that discourage you. Don't let it ruin your E3, and at the very least, we might get something when the actual 20th rolls around.
Yeah, it's just... It's not... I don't think it was something that was just in my head, is the thing. Because Steve Mails was talking about it on Twitter, Grant Kirkhope was talking about it on Twitter. They're aware of the thing. They're aware that the 20th anniversary is like a specific special thing to Banjo-Kazooie.
Well, actually, the 25th anniversary is probably going to be bigger.
No, I don't think so. I think the 20th anniversary was more important because it was the one
of
that was
joke.
called out. Yeah.
But that wasn't even a Rare joke.
If it was the 29th anniversary, like some weird number, that would be the most important
It was a joke in the XBLA port, so it didn't even potentially come from Rare. Oh, I guess in Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah, Nuts and Bolts it came from. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I get it. I get, they kind of set themselves up for this a long time ago.
Yeah, you shouldn't be held to jokes that games made that you probably as an individual didn't even work on 10 years ago. Like, that's unrealistic. But just to mention it, just a mention I think would have been nice. Just some sort of thing, saying, like there was a lot of restating for Game Pass. I think you could have restated, hey, it's also Banjo-Kazooie's 20th anniversary.
Okay, yeah.
Play it for free on Game Pass today.
Yeah, this is something just very minor to get upset about. Like, you're right. But if mostly this is just directed to those who really, really thought we were going to get some sort of new Banjo game. Jeff Onan brought up a great point, I believe, in the Inner Circle, and that he said it's ridiculous to expect a studio to set a release date for a game, develop a game, all based around an arbitrary anniversary that they may not even hit that release date for.
Yeah.
That's not the way companies do business. It might have been how Rare would have done things back in the 90s, but times have changed.
Well, I understand this. I understand this on a cognitive level. But the idea that no one is asking to make a Banjo game,
we don't know that,
good
though.
enough.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, Banjo, besides Grunny's Revenge and Banjo Pilot, and the mobile variations of Grunny's Revenge, every Banjo game has been headed up by Greg Mayles and variations of that team.
Yeah.
It would be weird to have a Banjo game without Greg Mayles. Because all of a sudden, you're going to have that question, is the quality still going to be there? Do we want Banjo just to have the characters back, or do we want Banjo done right?
Yeah, but is this really that big of a talking point for, like, the same thing that happened with Donkey Kong Country 3?
Look how many people hate Donkey Kong Country 3.
I love Donkey Kong Country 3.
I love it. But you look at somebody like Josh Wallen from Off the Geek Critique, he would definitely argue that the lack of Greg Mayles hurt Donkey Kong Country 3. So... Godzilla Guy brings up a good point. There was a part in the press conference where Phil Spencer started talking about commitment to old IPs. Yeah. And that did like, you have one of those. It's like, it's pretty important to a lot of people. And okay, never mind. We finally got the Battletoads revival.
We got the Battletoads revival. I guess that's
a good omen.
Older than Banjo.
That's very much older than Banjo.
It's next on the, not that much.
I mean, in
7 years.
That back then, like that was an eternity.
Yeah.
Now it's nothing,
okay.
but
yeah.
But that was when I was a kid, so that was an eternity. Battletoads was an ancient game by the time Banjo-Kazooie came out. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is, treat Battletoads as a good omen. We will get a Banjo revival one day.
The difference between Battletoads and Banjo is the same between now and Skyrim.
Right.
Just as a fun comparison. I don't know why I brought that comparison up. But yeah, I'm not like down on the disappearance of Banjo Forever more than I used to be because of this. It's not like this is the final nail in the coffin. It's a little bit of a missed opportunity just to say hi to Banjo and remind us that it is a very good game that exists. But I'm not as beat up about it as I appear to be. I guess it's a thing to talk about. Probably the last time I'm going to talk about it for a while, because there's a lot of good games here that aren't that.
Yeah, so if you just listen for a Donkey Kong Universe discussion, if you never listened to our Oops All Tangents Kongversation minis, you can turn this off now. We're just going to get into some of the other games we liked, and get a little bit of the perspective, the psyche of Mitchell, Wolfe, and Hyle Russell.
Scraps is telling me that Elder Scrolls 6 was announced. I know, dude. I don't. It's just the difference in time between the first Battletoads game and Banjo-Kazooie.
He's just using that as a comparison point for the passage of time, not about sequels.
Yeah. I guess that's a good point, that Skyrim has continued to be alive, where maybe Battletoads ended at a certain point.
But also the complete genre that Banjo-Kazooie existed in was decimated for several years. It was not a popular decision to make games in that style. We're only now getting back to that, so hey, maybe give it a little bit more time. We just had the spiritual successor of Banjo-Kazooie and Yooka-Laylee, headed up by some of the same people who worked on Banjo-Kazooie, so I would say give it a year or two, and then maybe we're going to start hearing some rumblings about somebody within Microsoft working on a new Banjo-Kazooie.
So we did find out that popular rare game Saberman Stampede was made into Halo Infinite.
So this is a joke I made during the conference. I tried to get a picture of the rhino Stampede, or whatever they were.
Yeah.
The alien rhinos. And I was like, oh man, Saberman Stampede. If I was at home right now doing some sort of jackass live commentary on this, we would be making so many Saberman Stampede jokes. But people did not disappoint me. People at home around the DK Vine sphere, on the forum, in the Discord chats, they were making Saberman Stampede jokes.
Yeah, this did not look like a Halo game.
Not at first.
Yeah, I mean, eventually Master Chief's head or helmet.
Can I just say real quick? So I am an Xbox fan, but I only recently started self-identifying as an Xbox fan. So the whole golden era of Halo, before my time, I had an Xbox during that era, but I only had it for shit like Grabbed by the Ghoulies.
Yeah.
So the fact that the entire audience goes fucking apeshit whenever they show some sort of glimpse of his helmet.
Yes.
These reveals almost sicken me in the way they're very, very centered around just getting that reaction.
That's a very you problem.
Yeah. I love this trailer up until that point where it was just like, let's give the fucking nerds what they want. Here's the money shot.
Yeah, Halo 1 and 2 were just... Halo 2 especially. After, everyone loved Halo 1 so much. And it really continued to be, in the eyes of most people, the only thing that was really of that scope and importance on that console.
I remember the day Halo 2 came out. I think I got Mario Power Tennis on that day.
Great. Great. I'm not a big Halo guy either. But the prestige and legacy of that series, I think that it's one of the areas that Microsoft actually beats Sony. They don't have a whole lot of things that do it, but just having one iconic franchise that really it was so important. I think it's more important as an individual franchise than any individual franchise Sony has. It's up there with Nintendo stuff like Zelda and Mario and Pokemon.
Sure.
Yeah. And this game, I'm sure this kind of lazy comparison is going to be all over the internet, but I haven't seen it yet, so I'm just going to do it.
Saberman Stampede, right.
It's like what Breath of the Wild and the new God of War have done, where they took a series that's been a little bit stale and repetitive in the same cycle, and they gave it some sort of shot of adrenaline, right. And they made it look like a very different kind of thing, a much more open thing. Nature
is a big aspect in a lot of these series. Let's inject nature into it. Hey, you know what? Maybe the natural... It's kind of funny.
It's like they just found out that nature is good.
It's kind of funny to me as a Rare fan, and one of the things that always drew me to Rare was that they always celebrated the natural world in such vibrancy without gussing it up too much. And it just cracks me up that now franchises like Halo and Zelda, they're like, shit, did you hear about this nature thing? Let's get some of that.
I think it's worth the comparison, just turning to nature, turning to an open world structure, turning into just really dropping... we don't know much about this game, but dropping mechanics that maybe weren't doing a whole lot of benefit for you and replacing them with new, riskier things. It's what Halo needed, probably. A lot of people hated 5. So, good idea. We're not going to go through every game here.
No. We had to bring up the Saberman Stampede joke.
Yeah.
So I want to bring up some games I really liked seeing, and some games one game in particular, I think we both had a very negative, visceral reaction to.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not...
What's it called, Hyle?
We'll get to that. I'm not going to be talking about stuff like Forza, which looked impressive, and they dropped leaves on us, which was fun.
I thought it was interesting, because they said... Okay, I'm breaking your rule. I'm talking about Forza. They want to have this huge open world of, a connected road system...
Yeah.
That almost works like an MMO. It's like a racing MMO. all of the places Forza has taken place in the past, or Forza Horizon specifically, have been like these big landmasses. This is Britain, which strikes me as pretty small for this kind of thing. I guess if it's like actual size in game, it's not small.
No, that's pretty damn big.
But like in the past, like it was Australia, and that's just that's clearly much bigger. But that's cool. It looked nice. They rained down paper leaves.
Well, so we saw this confetti dropping accidentally, prematurely from the ceiling. Like, occasionally you would get 1 or 2 strands. And first we thought they were Xbox-colored confetti. Like, they were going to make some big announcement, like the X-Boy or something.
Yeah, the X-Boy's coming out.
Yeah, like the handheld, the Switch, their answer to the Switch. You could play Xbox software on the go, and they'd drop confetti, and Phil Spencer would be like, suck it up, like, lap it up, nerds. Whoa, but it was that they're actually leaves, just paper leaves.
Yeah,
and they only did that for 1 season. I thought they were going to drop snow on us next. I thought they were going to do rain.
In the spring it was raining, and I leaned over to you and I said, "Drop water on us, you fucking cowards!"
Yeah, and then and then in the summer they would just make us go back outside and wait. Yeah, right.
Yeah, we don't need more heat.
So wow, we talked about that game, which wasn't my intention. Real quick, some of the games that I thought looked interesting.
Yeah.
Not necessarily games I will play, but games I will definitely consider if I have the time and funds. Ori
and the Will of the Wisp. It's a sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, which was previously released.
Wasn't this announced last E3?
Might have been 3 E3s ago.
Will of the Wisp. I remember seeing it.
Will of the Wisp. Yeah, that was last E3.
Yeah.
The original one was...
Right.
Yeah.
I like this. This looked very charming. It looked very, very... It reminded me a little bit of somewhat Rare, somewhat Nintendo, some other elements in there.
Yeah, I played the first one, and it's very, very good. The level design is, like, great. It reminds me of... Like, it's a Metroid-style side-scrolling adventure game where you can go like up and down in like a huge world, but the tone of the game, I guess, is probably closer to like old school Donkey Kong Country, which that's stuff, adventuring and Donkey Kong Country vibes, that's stuff that we both really like. And this was really cool too. It just had a really nice style, and the music was good. Everything I saw just looked really good. Ori and the Will of the Wisp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about Todd Howard? Or
No.
Okay, Fallout 76.
Fallout 76, yeah.
So, this is I want to bring up this broader point, starting with Fallout 76. I don't have an issue with Fallout 76. I don't. But there were quite a few games that all had the same theme. Mm-hmm. It's post-apocalypse. There has been some nuclear annihilation or plague that has decimated humanity, and we're starting to rebuild, but things suck. And Fallout 76 kind of does it, the Fallout series in general does it with the kind of tongue-in-cheek. Not kind of, I mean, quite a bit. Like, it knows what it's peddling. And it's making no pretensions, really, about what it is.
The joke is constantly, can you believe how much this sucks?
Yes.
Like, that's what the joke is every time.
Right. And that's... I appreciate that. And also, I really like the weird choice of having John Denver's Country Roads be this... Because it takes place in the West Virginia mountains.
Yeah, so I legitimately really like the trailer itself for that.
Yeah, and now that song's been in my head all evening, which is a really weird song to have in your head while you're in Los Angeles in Koreatown.
We're just in Koreatown thinking about Country Roads. The thing for me with this presentation is... I guess we can talk about Todd Howard a little bit.
Well, let's just talk about the Howard man.
Yeah, he came out and he did this really dumb joke about Phil Spencer told me he was having some friends over. It seems like it's a lot of friends.
Yeah. He's talking about us.
It's us. We're friends. We're Spencer's friends. He came out and he said, we're doing the Bethesda conference today, so I thought I'd drop on by. And that is obviously just a line to say.
It's something that came out of his mouth. So
Yeah,
before he said it.
But it does give me it does bring into question: is it actually easier for him to do that because that was happening today? And if so, how much of E3 and the press conferences are just dictated by like last minute adjustments like this? You'd think that it's all very planned out for weeks and weeks and weeks.
They have rehearsals for these.
They have rehearsals, but it does seem like some stuff is added in the last minute.
I don't know,
or taken out last minute.
They might want you to feel that, but that might all be part of the rehearsal too. These guys are good presenters, like Phil Spencer, Todd Howard. They know how to portray themselves. They know how to read the room. They know how to.
Yeah, Todd Howard especially. I mean, like we made fun of him for his joke. It felt pretty flat, but I mean, like he knows what he's doing. I just like, why was Fallout 76 there though? Because later in the day is the Bethesda conference. They went into like a lot of detail about Fallout 76.
And they showed the trailer too.
They showed the same trailer.
Yeah.
And that, like, this is why I'm saying that. If they didn't, if it wasn't just a last minute thing, hey, you know, why don't we just show that we have some relationship with Bethesda? Because maybe we're nervous about them getting too close to Nintendo or something like that. Like, if it's not because of that, and if it's not last minute, you figure this out. You don't show the same trailer twice in one day within a few hours.
Okay, but then you also have somebody like me, who, if you weren't my roommate right now, I would have not seen any of the Bethesda trailer. I would have not sought it out. I would have not been exposed to it.
So you think Todd Howard did this for all the Rare fans?
No, but I'm saying, like, you do potentially reach a different audience through this than you would just... Bethesda is more niche.
Yeah.
So you might show your game in this context, snag a few more potential customers.
Yeah, and individual publishers will always be like a little more niche and a little more focused than console runners like Microsoft and Sony. And that's probably a good thing, because I'm really wanting to see different styles of press conferences. Different companies have kind of found their own styles recently, where before it's just like it almost felt like everyone was using the same stage and like using the same way to release their games. And now Xbox definitely has a plan for how Xbox announces games.
Yeah.
And EA has a terrible, terrible system for how they announce games.
Well, Mitchell, we haven't talked about this on the Kongversation. Now, you know, the EA conference was yesterday. Are you aware that they introduced fan-favorite Star Wars character General Grievous to Battlefront 2?
Yeah, I was aware of that, actually.
Yeah. And by the way, when I said that, you can't see it at home, but I am doing the patented press briefing downward thumb hand gesture.
The George Bush almost optimistic, as I call it.
Or Bill Clinton. Like,
oh yeah, that's Bill Clinton, isn't it?
Hey baby, I'm just using my thumb for something other than sticking it up your hoo-ha.
Yeah, exactly.
Check out my new book I wrote with James Patterson. James Patterson. I've never pattered any sons. I pattered some daughters, though.
Wow. Yeah, man. I want to play along. I do. I'm just... I think I'm too tired. I think maybe I grew out of it today.
You grew out of E3.
Today.
You've become a man.
Earlier today, I had a
you've
maturity
aged.
Shift.
You've aged so much. You're now older than I am.
Yeah, I caught up like Britney Spears.
Real quick, We Happy Few. It was one of the highlights for me at E3 2016, and then it just kind of disappeared for a while.
Yeah,
and it's coming out August 10th.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. It is another dystopia, but it does it in such a unique way. It's very much up my alley as far as the themes and the presentation. It's 60s era Britain, so very much the era of the Beatles, the Stones, the Who. It's got that mod kind of style. I love it. I love the look of it. I love the feel of it. It looks like a sci-fi dystopia movie from that era.
A lot of early science fiction played around a lot and got really good results from doing this. Played around with Armageddon, right? And, like, because why it was caused. If you have an Armageddon caused by something in fiction, that's a really powerful narrative device that you can use to talk all kinds of shit on that thing.
Yes.
So for Fallout, it's war, right? So it's in some ways anti-war. With some of these games, like I believe it was The Division. That was just like it was just an attack from another country for.
Is that the Tom Clancy one?
Yeah, that's a Tom Clancy one.
So that was the one. What? No, wasn't that one?
Dying Light is the one you're thinking of.
No. But I'm thinking you brought the one where they stormed the downed wreckage of Air Force One was Division 2.
Right.
Yeah, that was the one. There was a plague or something.
Was that?
I can't keep it straight.
No, that one was an attack from a different country. I'm pretty sure.
Was it? No, I'm pretty sure it was a plague. Maybe it was an attack, but it was a plague. I can't keep it straight. There's too many fucking post-apocalyptic.
Yeah. For Dying Light 2, it was literally an asteroid. So they're mimicking good narrative devices, but they're just like lazily using what they feel like instead of actually using them to talk about something. I think We Happy Few is more talking about something which I appreciate. It's like actually about.
It's about something.
Like the dangers of escapism, the dangers of like placating yourself with just pleasantries in order to get past things that are actually bothering you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. And the world of the game, every time I see it, looks so much more developed and interesting. I love it.
Yeah, look worlds apart from the 2016 trailer, which already impressed me. Real quick, the Godzilla guy's throwing some shade on me in the chat. He's saying that Bethesda's RPGs sell tens of millions of copies each. They're not niche. I realize that. I realize the word niche may be a little bit too...
Well, you know what, Godzilla guy? I would agree with you, except for the fact that I have notes that might even prove otherwise. Because Todd Howard, during the Bethesda press conference, talked about Fallout Shelter. It's coming to PS4 and Switch. It's the mobile game.
Yeah.
It's still free on those consoles, and it's actually out today, right now. You can download it on your Switch or PS4 if you have one of those. And he just had an aside where he was talking about Fallout Shelter has been played by 120 million people. Million different people.
Yeah.
More than all of Bethesda's other games throughout its entire history combined.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like, that's obviously not to talk down on those other games, but to say they sell 10 million each, it's like, I don't know. They can't be selling that much.
A console...
Skyrim did. Skyrim was clearly a huge mainline success, and the newer Fallouts were as well.
But my point was an entire console's briefing is still going to eclipse one individual studio, or even if with the stature and clout of Bethesda.
Yeah. We just mean more niche, I suppose, not actually niche.
Right.
We would say that about... I mean, even EA too, compared to Microsoft. It's a hardware versus a software thing.
Anything else? You want to talk about
Jump Force?
Jump Force.
Hell yeah, I do. Jump Force is a crossover game. I'm actually in a bad position to talk about it because I didn't look over the whole thing again. I can't tell if it's a straight up fighting game or like some sort of brawler.
So I was thinking Smash Brothers when I saw it.
It's not 2D.
It's not 2D.
It's not on a 2D plane.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe chat can help us out if they know more about this game, like the way it plays. But the way it looks is super cool. It's all the Shonen Jump properties combined together. It starts with like the scene of a city. You don't really know what this thing is yet.
Didn't it start at like a country, like a field, and like they talked about like there are many realms.
Like
they coexist, but they never meet.
Except they did.
Oh no, they're merging.
Yeah. Naruto meets Goku. Revenge of the Goku, Volume 2.
So yeah, and then there's the city and all these anime guys.
Yeah, because
manga.
Phil Spencer introduced it as a new franchise from Bandai Namco.
So
I liked it. I thought it was good.
yeah,
I'll play this game. I also like that it's a crossover that prominently features Goku because of Smash.
What I like is that this will finally make me shut up people about getting any of these people into Smash Brothers. Now we don't need it. Now they can just have this and shut up.
Yeah, I came around to third-party characters in Smash eventually, but I'm a notable opponent to characters like Goku or Mickey Mouse appearing in Smash Brothers because I know they have games. They're very popular characters. We were talking about kidnapping someone?
We were never talking about kidnapping someone.
Scraps, you're lying to us. Why would you do that?
And here I was hoping that I wouldn't have to edit any of this episode. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Jump Force looks good. Let's see. I'm just looking through my list to see if we want to talk about any other stuff.
What was Cyberpunk? I don't.
That we can talk about that last because that was last. Just
okay.
Before that.
Well,
okay. Crackdown is actually really important to Xbox.
Okay.
I think that's worth talking about. It looked. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it looked. Terry Crews was yelling at me.
Yeah, it was just Terry Crews belligerently assaulting our eardrums, and I couldn't get any context for the game.
So I know some context about the game, but the trailer didn't help me know that. So this is the third Crackdown game. The other two Crackdown games weren't like big tent poles for the Xbox brand, but this one is.
I think Terry Crews has a big tent pole from what I hear.
You do?
Yeah, from what I hear.
Great.
It's late.
I feel bad for this game.
Yeah.
Because this game is given a lot of responsibility that I don't think it needs or that it necessarily has to have. Like, it has to be this big thing for showing the power of the Xbox One X. It has a lot of destructible environments. It's like gimmick.
Oh, okay.
And
like 9/11.
Just like that. And just like 9/11, the destructible environments will actually destruct in like a procedural way. So the way they are hit physically impacts the way the building like falls.
Oh, okay.
Which takes a lot of computing power.
I don't know if you know this, but jet fuel cannot melt Terry Crews.
I've heard that. He goes by his stripper name of Steel Beams. So that's supposed to be like a big power showcase for the Xbox One X. It was actually supposed to be an Xbox One X launch title. That was last year. Now it has been delayed like 5 times into next year. Finally it got a release date, February of 2019. So that was a low point of the press conference. People needed this to happen.
That wasn't the low point. That wasn't the low point.
We definitely, I mean, according to us.
According to us, and we're not going to be, I don't think we're going to be considered normal for this. I'm actually surprised you kind of agree with me. So we've been dancing around this whole point about the just glut of post-apocalyptic pornography games.
Yeah, most of them have like their own angle. Man, we didn't like Dying Light 2.
Dying Light 2, I couldn't remember. I still can't remember the name for that. I gotta be honest.
Yeah. I didn't play the first game, but I just wrote in my notes after the Dying Light 2 trailer, fucking abrasive.
Yeah, so I actually got an email, Mitchell, from Dying Light 2.
Yeah.
Because I'm E3 Media. You probably got one too.
I did.
And so I'm gonna read this. Read this out loud real quick. Hi, Hyle. Techland today announced Dying Light 2 on stage at Microsoft's E3 2018 briefing. The much-awaited sequel brings to life a post-apocalyptic vision known as the Modern Dark Ages, a brutal, bleak, and unforgiving reality where you are as likely to perish at the hand of a human as you are by the bite of the infected. In this grim world, players must think on their feet, drawing from exceptional parkour skills and brute force to stay alive and out of the shadows.
So what that translates to, was like the trailer started, or maybe there was two things. There was a trailer, and then a guy came out to dictate a supposedly real gameplay segment.
Yeah.
And one of those, I forget which one, started with a guy looking over the edge of a building. He's standing on a roof at someone on the ground, and he just jumps from the building onto the guy on the ground with his hand on the back of his head, and just in one motion grabs the head and just pushes it like straight into the ground. It just kind of flattens. Like, it just unceremoniously flattens out, and that's the end of that guy.
And
that's all it is.
There's like a explosion of blood.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say explosion, because I think that would be, like, too fun. I think it was just, like, it just went. The blood just kind of went out. It wasn't there anymore. It was spread out.
So yeah, before anybody gets us wrong, I'm not a prude when it comes to violence. I'm not a prude when it comes to, like, and you could have a game be about anything relatively. One thing I'm just burned out on this whole post-apocalyptic fetish that really, I think, started, speaking of 9/11, I think it really entered our culture again post 9/11. Really kind of hit its apex with things like The Walking Dead, which are very clearly on a downward swing now.
Yeah, now that we're in this, like, I don't know, it's not a Cold War, because it's not necessarily that we're afraid of nuclear issues now. It's more like we're afraid of our own prejudice in government from foreign governments and even our own government.
It's a very downbeat time.
The thing that gets regurgitated a lot in stories like this are organizational systems and leadership systems that go bad.
Yeah.
And, like, I get it, but it's just so... Oh, man. I wonder if I'm going to look back on this in 5 years and think, like, why was I so down on this? But it was just so...
It was just the way they presented it to us.
It was borderline offensive. It was, like, I just couldn't stand it.
It was... So... My thinking is I'm burned out on this because I need some fucking optimism in my life.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just saying I'm like the characters in We Happy Few. I'm just looking to distract myself, am I right? But this is so fucking cynical. It's so fucking rank as far as what it instills into people's brains about human nature. And it just says we are all despicable creatures. There are no good options. Every choice you make will lead to some form of misery. Fuck you. Let that sink in. Hope you can sleep tonight.
Yeah.
Buy our game.
This was immediately preceded by Jump Force and immediately followed by Battletoads. So it was actually, like, in an optimal space. Like, I had a good mood going into it.
Yeah.
Then I didn't. And then they picked me up again right by the end, so I didn't just carry it through the end of the show.
So there's this choice system, right? And
yeah, that's the idea with this game. Like, it's got a big choice system. We're talking about this more than the rest of the games, kind of because they did.
Because it just pissed me off.
Well, they also spent, like, a long time on it.
Yeah.
A choice system that's like, oh, do you want to deliver the water to the peaceful people, or do you want to sell it on the black market, you dirty guy?
Or either way, it's going to lead to misery.
Yeah, either way, it's going to suck for you. So the choices aren't real, and the choices are basically do a good thing or do a bad thing. It's like...
It reminds me of why I hate The Walking Dead, the TV show and the comics. It's because it feels like people with good intentions are portrayed to be saps and suckers who are worthy of getting just brutally decimated, and only the terrible people who have a very pragmatic view of life deserve to live.
Yeah.
And it's just it's toxic to our culture. And I'm not saying, like, you can't make a game like this. I'm not saying that a game like this doesn't have its place. I'm just sick of it.
Yeah, ditto. All
right, wrap it up. Let's,
Cyberpunk, last one?
Yeah.
Okay, so the show ended with Phil Spencer kind of, like, winding down everyone, and it's definitely... You could kind of see it coming that, like, he was going to pull... Oh, and one more thing.
He was stalling for time because
Yeah.
I think there was a delay. They didn't flip the switch, so you could see him trying to like.
Yeah.
He played it off very well, but you could see he was like trying to stall until they could kick it in.
Yeah, he was interrupted by like a glitch on the screen that was actually
jumped.
really loud.
Okay, so it was the sound coming from this fake glitch was right above us. So, like, right above us and to the right. I jumped because I thought some light had burst or something had, like, been pried loose. I thought maybe the confetti had completely caused something to overheat. And
Yeah.
so I was looking out for, like, shards of falling glass.
There's a lot that you can get from just watching these press conferences online. In fact, like 99% of it, really.
Really?
It's not necessary to go to these to get the information. The thing you really don't get is how much they like to play with bass.
Yes.
They really like to play with bass. Not even like just during songs with bass that they can blast at you. They sometimes use it in more practical, like atmospheric ways. Like when the glitch thing happened, they just did like a solid big wave from their speakers. So like it hit you. Like so you in the audience, despite the glitch on the screen being perfectly centered and everything. So it's like, well, that's clearly not real. It still was surprising because like they hit you.
Yeah.
Microsoft hit me in my body.
Well, you could feel the music like coursing through your body most of the time.
So that was a fun thing for Cyberpunk 2077. This has been a game that's been waited for like 5 years, and we're still waiting for it. I guess we did not get a release date, but they hinted at it by saying like CD, and then there was a password field, and they said Red. It's like, oh, CD Projekt Red, the developer of the game, and they showed it and looked really good.
It was very Blade Runner.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, yeah, Blade Runner is usually cited as like the origin of the cyberpunk genre, and this is everything cyberpunk that you could want.
It was nice to see a future that may be slightly dystopic, but wasn't completely miserable.
Right. So this is by the guys that made The Witcher, the Witcher trilogy of games, and the first two Witchers were not open world games. The third Witcher was an open world game. It's regarded by many as one of the best open world games of all time. They're an incredibly respected studio, CD Projekt Red. So this is just their next big thing. A huge get for Microsoft.
Yeah.
Not an exclusive. I'm sure it's not an exclusive. In fact, even Dying Light, was that an exclusive? I know there's a certain point where Phil Spencer came out and said every announcement from here on out is a world premiere, but he didn't say they were exclusives.
I know, but they had to play the world premiere before each and every one, which you could see, like, we were laughing at it from the start, but you could tell like other people were starting to also chuckle at just how insistent they were that they always had to play that little.
There's some things Microsoft needs to work on.
But there's part of it that's almost like a fun culture to it at this point. Maybe you have to be there to really appreciate it.
There was a... Sorry, Scrap said something that there was a reload with Xbox. What does that mean? Exclusive? I mean, it was a timed exclusive, or was it a DLC thing? For example, the Witcher 3 Collector's Edition had extra stuff for your Xbox. Oh, okay. So, like, items in the game. Interesting. I didn't know that. But, this is... I think the way Phil Spencer tried to close the show before showing Cyberpunk, he said something like, all of these games that you saw today will be best played on Xbox because of the Xbox One X. And
Yeah.
That is a big draw.
Sure.
There's going to be a ton of games that we're going to see that we saw today, and that we'll even see coming because a lot of Sony stuff is cross-platform as well. That will be best played on the Xbox One X, and that's going to be a huge trump card that Microsoft will play until Sony makes something better.
Right.
That's powerful. That's a powerful thing.
And what I love about the way they're doing this is, they have the Xbox One X, but they also have the Xbox One. They have the Xbox One S.
Yeah.
There is a very much a sense that the whole nobody gets left behind thing.
Yeah. I mean, technically, the idea of the best version of the game is no longer true if it's not the X, but there's budget editions of
and then
there's ways
you have options, and then even the Windows 10 crossplay games, it really is. I like the vision they have for this, and it's a good thing too, because at the rate they're buying up studios, they may own the entire industry within the next decade.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Cuphead has like an expansion or something.
Yeah, good for a Cuphead.
Yeah, the delicious last course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. It's
been a good talk, Hyle.
Yeah, longer than I thought. Actually, more than half of it was not anything related to what we normally talk about. But
I foresaw that because while the things that are DKU or DKU adjacent, I suppose, are very interesting, I don't know, there's not much to them yet. Like, we need to see... I was a little disappointed we didn't see anything from Battletoads. I wanted to see, like, what does Rash look like in this art style? Just something. Just a little bit something, because right now I can't even, like, start thinking about it. I would rather them just give me something to start thinking about.
But did you not have enough to think about with all of the sick parkour you can pull off...
In Dying Light.
Selling water to completely shitty people one way or another.
Yeah.
It's gonna suck. So, that's something we can all think about as we wrap this conversation up.
Oh, Frozen was there.
Oh yeah, Frozen. So yeah. and the one with the hair, the hair lady from the Disney. She was there too.
Oh, that wasn't an announcement though. That was Rapunzel. That one was known about Kingdom Hearts. Frozen was a new announcement for Kingdom Hearts. That was not seen
holy
before.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Captain Spirit is free.
You can be a sad little boy pretending to be a sad little boy
for free.
For free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not even microtransactions or anything. Like, it's just 100% free. Square Enix is just doing it for some reason. We're theorizing maybe it's a tax write-off.
Yeah, so, yeah. Real quick, this is my theory. I have never written off an entire video game's development on my taxes. Mm-hmm. I'm sure TurboTax gives you that option. And this may be with the tax code changed after the Republican tax cuts of last year. Maybe this is quite lucrative. We're going to see a lot of studios doing this. But I assume there's a whole lot of fraud going on here. And this is how Phil Spencer could actually afford to buy all of these studios personally. Not even using Bill Gates' checkbook. So...
Yeah, if this was a different show, we'd probably be talking about Sekiro, which is a very important From Software game.
If this was a different show, we just talked about all these games.
Devil May Cry 5, but I think we're good where we are. It was a good show. I think altogether we can say that, like, it was a very diverse show. As much as we clearly didn't like Dying Light 2, and actually it really put us off. Like, a lot.
It did.
Like,
it
a
put
lot,
me off
a lot.
water, oddly enough.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm so dehydrated right now.
Because I don't want to spend all that water just to drink it. It is what it is. The rest of the show is just so varied in content, which is something that Xbox has not been able to do. Oh, we didn't... Sorry, one more thing I guess we should talk about.
Just one more thing?
Yeah, just one more thing.
You're quite good. You could be doing one of these briefings.
All the teams it bought.
Yeah, that's what I was getting into with the whole Phil Spencer just bought a whole bunch of shit.
Oh, right. Did we actually talk about that, though?
I mean, do we need to? I mean, he bought a whole bunch of shit.
The specific things... This was very dark when I wrote this, so I'm having trouble reading my notes exactly.
Well, the light was dying.
The light was dying. They bought Playground Games, known for Forza, Undead Games, which I don't know at all, The Initiative, which was not actually bought. That was a new studio that was formed just to be a first-party Microsoft studio, just to make games. Compulsion Games, which is making We Happy Few.
Yeah.
And Ninja Theory. Ninja Theory is not a company associated with Microsoft. This is the biggest one. They've done a lot of huge games.
So I made a joke because I saw, I said it was going to be Nintendo they were going to announce they
Yeah.
bought Nintendo, and then I saw NIN, and I was like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah. Godzilla guy in the chat says, not happy about buying Ninja Theory. I bet there's a lot of people that feel that way. Great for Microsoft. I mean, if they're mismanaged, bad for Ninja Theory. They have very high-profile games. They had Senua's Sacrifice, which was like on all of the Game of the Year nominee lists last year. Just a very personal story about mental illness and also action and stuff, which seems to be a theme. That was a very, very well-received game. Microsoft has nothing like it. That's like actually more of a Sony thing. It was more up Sony's alley. And now Microsoft just owns it.
You know,
Huge acquisition.
I will say this to anybody from Ninja Theory listening, somebody who's been down this road as a fan before. If you want to get the critics on your side right after you get bought by Microsoft, do not make a whimsical haunted house beat 'em up.
Yeah.
I don't care how great it is. They're just not going to accept it.
This has been a File 2 production.
Qué rico.